Welcome back to my channel. It's my pleasure to share with you my learning delivery modality 2 LAC Leader Practicum portfolio for the school year 2020-2021. May I present to you our Public Schools District Supervisor, Sir Capido S. Tungi Jr., our coach, Ma'am Marietta Villaflor, and the Principal 1, Ma'am Francie T. Virilio. My practicum portfolio includes cover page, introduction, required artifacts that include providing technical assistance to teachers about giving feedback to learners, the COT rating sheet, providing feedback on the development and use of learning resources, lesson plans and other exemplars, professional engagements with teachers, and engagement key stakeholders in the teaching learning process. And the last part is the reflective summary. Introduction. And now abide faith, hope, love, these three, but the greatest of these is love. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 13. In this new normal education using different portals of learning modalities, faith, hope, and love were my weapons in combating to the challenges in my field of work. Faith to the unwavering guidance, protection, and provisions of the Almighty God sustained me to become prim and proper despite the odds that happened on a daily basis against me. Steadfast to the hope of the never-changing promises that God will never leave me nor forsake me, kept me intact with the confidence that I am never alone. The love to make a difference in the lives of others spelled the victory and success in my DepEd's pandemic journey this 2020-2021. Indeed, it is the love that conquered all my fears and limitations. Thanks and glory be to God through His Son Jesus, the greatest model of love, instruction, and leadership. To witness, please bear with me as the pages of my LDM2 LAC et al. Welcome to my DLM2 LAC Leader Practicum portfolio. As a LAC leader, I prepare this learning distance modality 2 practicum portfolio with a description of the required artifacts which are congruent to the Philippine professional standards for teachers. Likewise, the required artifacts are described here congruent to the Philippine professional standards for teachers. Here are the required artifacts. The required artifacts are providing technical assistance to teachers about giving feedback to learners met the Philippine standard or the Philippine professional standard for teachers, which is 5.3 feedback to improve learning. I have accomplished performance and coaching form in this required artifact on providing technical assistance to teachers about giving feedback to learners to improve learning, but I preferred to present the performance and coaching form in the other slide. The photos show that teachers are gathered together to unload the difficulties they encounter in handling new normal classes. Here, everyone is given a chance to air and discuss things they have in mind, what they feel, weighing the pros and cons, and at the same time, brainstorm and share on the effective teaching strategies that can be applicable to the classes they handle. Ma'am Agnes Martires and Sir Danilo Manaog, my teachers the time when I was in high school, whose teaching experiences are now beyond 3 decades or more already, have shared a lot based from their teaching experiences handling students. After the session, everyone felt unwind, empowered, and revitalized to face again the challenge of the new normal education setting. Likewise, class observations were done together with mentoring and coaching. Throughout this pandemic year, the teachers need support in handling new normal classes, especially so that some are apparently affected by the pandemic emotionally and psychologically. In this particular slide, different situations and scenarios portray an ending support system to enhance instructional styles of the teaching force and in turn improve the learning outcome among learners. Despite the pandemic and the teaching current workloads, I shared and encouraged others how to value oneself, inspire oneself, enjoy life to the fullest, and stay healthy. Possessing all these, we can radiate it to others. As a master teacher too and leader, I assisted or guided my fellow teachers in going through these new challenges by keeping on the right track with open communication to let go of the anxieties brought by the new normalcy and find answers through brainstorming. I also set cell groups in order to deal with the individual difficulties met by the group and others, and having time to share their thoughts in small groups and strengthen their weaknesses. I also encouraged teachers to use time wisely and productively by doing the right things. I set collaborative work so everyone has the part to any success of the group, any success that the group will attain, and also the last, to set example for the group. Due to the scarcity of teaching materials, especially in research subjects, I have shared some of my resources to my colleagues for a successful conduct of distance learning among their students. Sample researches were also lent for teacher handling practical research to let the students see the actual research output, knowing that research subject is one of the most difficult subjects to handle, especially this time of pandemic. As a LAC leader, I have led my group to be organized in everything that they do. Setting an example is the most important factor for teachers in the field of leadership. Putting them first before self is what I learned in servant leadership. Sharing to them the God-given gifts, advices, and suggestions when they needed it most, then seeing them succeed is more than an achievement, and I count it as personal and professional achievement. It's always nice to know that behind the success of someone is you. Classroom observation tool rating sheet is one of the required artifacts by which Philippine Professional Standard Strand 3.4, which is the learners in difficult circumstances, also require. To address the special educational needs of the learners in the difficult circumstances, I observed 10 teachers in their demonstration teaching, which I provided feedback on the development and use of learning resources such as the self-learning modules, the learning activities, activity sheets, the video lessons, Google Forms, quizzes.com, and the likes, and I suggested for innovations. The pictures in the slide are some of the lesson plans of these teachers I observed. These teachers I had observed are Sir Danilo Manaog, Ma'am Joanna Crizel Velasco, Ma'am Edina Val, Ma'am Joanna Brila, Sir Rome Balanlay, Sir Mark John Ver Abinal, Ma'am Agnes Martires, Ma'am Catherine Nacario, Ma'am Hazel Cronico, and Sir John Paulo Chavez. We are still on the COT rating sheet with a PPST Strand 3.4 Learners in Difficult Circumstances. Here are some of the COT RPMS rating sheets with my comments. These are the COT RPMS rating sheets that I'd given to the teachers that I observed during their demonstration teaching. With these are some of my comments with their COT RPMS rating sheets. The teachers were able to identify what intervention or strategy fits most in the case of the learners for them to continue learning despite the pandemic. The list of interventions are important for every teacher and my team, for it guided the teachers to identify the weaknesses that need to be strengthened and to maintain the identified strengths in the teaching and learning delivery modality. Here I addressed the PPST Strand 3.4, which is the learners in difficult circumstances. As you see in this slide, these are my Practical 2 students and Inquiries Investigation Immersion classes on their online mock and final defense. And before the scheduled date of defense, I sent in our class group chat the video that reminds them on the etiquettes while indulging in an online class. And I discovered some of my students were so shy and silent before in my face-to-face classes, but did well and were so cool during their online defense. As a master teacher too, I undergone online teaching demonstration which is responsive to the special educational needs of learners in difficult circumstances this pandemic era, and that is in COT RPMS indicator number 2. I applied knowledge of content within and across curriculum teaching areas, and that is manifested in the COT RPMS tool indicator number 1. I also made use of online platform to observe standards, protocols, and physical distancing. I made use also of the different online forms to assess and evaluate my students' learning, and that is in COT RPMS indicator number 3. The video of my demonstration teaching is available at my YouTube channel. Addressing the PPST Strand 3.4 on learners in difficult circumstances this pandemic, where face-to-face classes are prohibited. As a master teacher too, I undergone online teaching demonstration which is responsive to the special educational needs of learners in difficult circumstances this pandemic era, and that is manifested in COT RPMS indicator number 2. Well, application of knowledge of content within and across curriculum teaching areas found in indicator number 1 was also done by me, and I made use of the online platform to observe standards protocols and physical distancing with the use of the online forms that can be used for assessment and evaluation of my students' learning. This video is available at my YouTube channel. Despite these trying times, through my instruction, my students were able to learn and make their research successfully. Here is the video of an experimental study of my increased investigation and immersion students using the pandan or amaryllis foliage to make scented candles. The video is also available online. Just look for my name, Juliet Saldo channel, and you will find there this video, which is the output of our 3 I's, which is the senior high school applied subject. Likewise, this video is the result of the experimental study of my increased investigation and immersion students using the London or Citrus aurantium and calamansi or Citrophonilia merocarpa extract as cockroach killer or repellent. Again, this video is available at my YouTube channel. Just look for my name, Juliet Saldo, and you'll find this video in there. This video is on students' etiquettes, where I put my instructions or directions while they are into online classes. Likewise, these instructions and directions were applicable in our online research defenses of my students, and we applied this in some of our class mock and final defense for students to avoid close physical contact. My students were able to learn, observe, and follow the guidelines and online class etiquettes. This video is available at my YouTube channel. As a teacher, it is not true that teaching this new normal is easy. I find it quite different, especially so that my workplace is not found in the city. But it is my joy to see the academic improvements among my students despite the students' difficulties. My instructions and efforts beget gratefulness. Hence, to receive accolade from my students through their heartfelt gratitudes is more than an achievement. This is a surprise awarding ceremony for my senior high school students with honors who went to school just to get modules and return modules, as well as submit their answer sheets at the midst of the incessant rainy morning. The reason why they were wearing shorts, and they were asked what to say about their hard-earned honors here. To sustain the momentum of the students' eagerness to study well, an awarding ceremony was conducted by me and my class while these students are claiming modules. These students are already 18 years old and above. That is why they were allowed to claim and return modules and learning activity sheets in school. The video is available at my YouTube channel. I was given 2 advisory classes, the TVL CSS, grade 12 TVL CSS and grade 12 TVL HE. To have the 2 advisory classes wasn't that easy, but thank God, God is able to make things possible for me, and these students are the cream of the crop from the TVL 12 CSS and grade 12 TVL HE. To God be the glory. Here is another required artifact, which is providing feedback to teachers on the development and use of learning resources, such as the self-learning materials or self-learning modules, the learning activity sheets, and the like, which this artifact is also congruent to the PPST strand 4.5, which is Teaching and Learning Resources, including ICT. That is also required in the PPST strand, which is 4.5. Along these artifacts, as a master teacher too, I suggested teachers to prepare lessons that are responsive to the special educational needs of learners in difficult circumstances and to make their lessons flexible, of course, using learning materials and teaching strategies that could meet the different needs of the learners, especially in these hard and trying times. I observed teachers in their demonstration teachings where I provided feedback on the development and use of learning resources such as the self-learning modules, the learning activity sheets, video lessons, Google Forms, the quizzes.com, and the likes, which are actually innovations, and suggested some more for teaching innovations despite the pandemic. These teachers I had observed are Sir Danilo Manaog, Ma'am Joanna Crisel Velasco, Ma'am Eden Naval, Ma'am Jonah Brila, Sir Romy Balanlay, Sir Mark Janver Abinal, Ma'am Agnes Martires, Ma'am Catherine Nacario, Ma'am Hazel Cronico, and Sir John Paulo Chavez. Here are some of the pieces of comments I've written from the COD RPMS rating sheets of the teachers I observed. Here, I also provided feedback to teachers on the development and use of learning resources, or I shared my learning materials in English, which I have written, which are implemented in senior high schools division-wide and regionally. And I also suggested to teachers to prepare lessons which can meet their students despite the distance, whether prepare printed material like the modules, the self-learning modules, the learning activity sheets, and other printed materials to be sent to them, or prepare video lessons that could really meet the students' needs, those who are having gadgets and internet connections. Through this, teaching and learning resources will include the ICT. Here, I prepared the performance monitoring coaching form in providing feedback to teachers on the development and use of learning resources. In this slide, you can see that teachers were able to comply, and as a master teacher too, I suggested to teachers to prepare lessons that are responsive to the special educational needs of learners in difficult circumstances such as this pandemic. For me, I prepared the video lessons and I sent it through the net. I made it available for my students through my YouTube channel, and I also encourage the teachers to prepare video lessons so that students will be able to just find the lessons anywhere they are, since most of the students have gadgets and they are into it when the lesson is available online. Also, I asked them to be flexible in using learning materials and teaching strategies that could meet the different needs of the learners, especially these hard and trying times. As an educator, I made my time productive despite the pandemic. I did not just work at my school, but I still extended my service to the bigger population through serving as division regional module and LAS writer, or the learning activity sheets writer. I also served as assessment writer and developer. Also, I served as a reviewer and validator of the learning materials in English in the division of Camarines Sur, as well as in Region 5. In this regard, I received division awards as division or regional module writer, assessment writer, learning activity sheets writer, reviewer, and validator of the learning activity sheets in English. I also provided feedback to teachers division-wide on development and use of modules, assessment sheets, learning activity sheets, and the like. Here are some samples of answer sheets that the students submitted, derived from the developed self-learning modules and video lessons, as well as learning activity sheets given by the teachers. Another required artifact is the lesson plan or the lesson plans. These are also required in the PPSD strand 3.4, which is learners in difficult circumstances, 4.2 learning outcomes aligned with learning competences, 4.1 planning and management of teaching and learning process, and 5.1 design, selection, organization, and utilization of assessment strategies. Here is one of my lesson plans I prepared for the demo teaching. Whenever I prepare a lesson plan, I think of my targets for my students to catch. Since even twins aren't identical, I have to plan well as to what teaching strategies will I use in order to elicit students' active participation. I use differentiated approach to meet my students' needs. Groupings can still be done while online. This is especially done in my class or classes, for it was my purpose to let them feel the sense of belonging despite the pandemic. With the rubrics of peer critiquing, my students enjoyed participating, giving their constructive critiquing to other groups' outputs. My teaching demonstration lesson plan, which is responsive to the special educational needs of learners in difficult circumstances at this pandemic time, contains effective learning strategies, and this video is available at my YouTube channel. I also prepared weekly home learning plan for students to keep in track of what are expected of them to accomplish within the week. My preparations for the weekly home learning plan were done by subject area. This video lesson is selecting and organizing information which I prepared personally for my reading and writing classes, highlights the students' activities in reading and writing, where students can interact with the activity while playing the video. This is an interactive video lesson. My students enjoy this video lesson as portrayed by the results of their outputs. This video lesson is again available at my YouTube channel. Another video lesson that I prepared personally is focused on the fundamental reading skills. This is part 1 of the video on fundamental reading skills. This video lesson contains discussion and activities where my students can watch and learn anytime, anywhere. Since most of the barangays in our place have powered towers where the students can go online, they send their answers to the activities and assessments through personal message to my messenger account. The video lesson is available at my YouTube channel. And now the part 2 of the video lesson, fundamental reading skills, which I prepared personally. This helped the students appreciate the new normal education since they can still hear me talking while they watch for information flashing on the screen. They feel like we are still on the face-to-face platform, so they find it easy to work on activities while playing video lesson. This is an interactive video lesson, and this video is available at my YouTube channel. Addressing the PPSD strengths such as 3.4 on learners in difficult circumstances, 4.2 learning outcomes aligned with learning competences, 4.1 planning and management of teaching and learning process, and 5.1 design, selection, organization, and utilization of assessment strategies. I prepared a video lesson that is available online through my demo teaching in Practical Research 1. I prepared this video at home, but I uploaded this online so my colleagues will be able to view it online. And this was also played in school during the LAC session. I made use of the different forms online, available online, for the sake of assessing and evaluating my students' learning outcomes. In this new normal education, it was an excellent experience to have one like this despite the odds. This video lesson is available again at my YouTube channel. Likewise, this video is on reading and writing class. I specifically made this video for students who want to learn uncritical reading as looking for ways of thinking text in context development. The video lesson is available at my YouTube channel. Here, another required artifact, which is the professional engagement with teachers, which is also required in the PPSD Strand 7.3, which is professional links with teachers. On professional engagement with teachers, with the PPSD Strand 7.3, which is professional links with teachers. Preparing oneself and fellow teachers to face the unseen battle in the time of pandemic is a tough job, but knowing that we teachers keep on the good fight of faith for the benefit of our students, we pursued facing the unknown threats and challenges. It takes a village to educate a child, as the adage goes. The photos portray a week-long learning action cell engaging with teachers, where I played the role as the LAC leader who guided my teammates for a successful LDM2 experience. These photos are the photos for day 1 and day 2 LAC sessions. Here is the continuation of the LAC sessions for day 3 and day 4. Education is indeed a lifetime process. In these photos, I professionally engaged with my colleagues through training, where I was one of the resource speakers for INSET 2020-2021. Here, I also received a certificate of appreciation as a resource speaker. I received a certificate of recognition as an INSET resource speaker. I dealt with training participants on how to prepare lessons which objectives jive to the milk. I also stressed on subtasking of milk if it's too heavy for the students to attain. Teaching strategies were also tackled here by conferencing with the teachers on the most essential learning competences, considering the competences that need to be developed among the learners. Things were specifically put right. And we did the bridging by subtasking, merging, clustering, dropping, or retaining the learning competences for the benefit of learners without sacrificing their learning skills that are intended in the set performance standards. I also participated in various virtual trainings, workshops, and webinars during the school year 2020-2021, which helped me upgrade my hard and soft skills. I also participated in division regional trainings and workshops where I served as module writer, assessment writer, learning activity sheets writer, the reviewer, and validator for the learning materials in English. I also prepared assessment aligned to the objectives of the lesson, and these learning materials in English were shared throughout the schools in the division of Camarines Sur in Region 5. These are my division awards. And the photos within the slide, I was engaging professionally with colleagues in the school, giving gifts to the indigents for internal stakeholders. I was also with the division personnel in the next photo during their school visit with the school-based management preparation, where I chaired the curriculum and planning for the Toils National High School 2020-2021. Here is another professional engagement with teachers, which is also required in the PPST Strand 7.3, which is professional links with teachers. This professional engagement with teachers happened during the TNHS, or the Toils National High School 47th Founding Day Anniversary, where teachers had the mass demo presentation. Here is the last required artifact, which is engaging key stakeholders in the teaching learning process, which is also related to the PPST Strand 5.4, communication of learners' needs, progress, and achievement to key stakeholders, and 6.2, engagement with parents and wider school community in the educative process. Due to the poor signal and internet connection in our area, most parents do not prefer online meetings. As class advisor of both grade 12 TVL CSS and grade 12 TVL HE, as well as senior high school coordinator, I called the presence of the parents to present to them their child's academic performance and discuss to them other important points related to their students' academic statuses in school. Here are the parents of the graduating students with their attendance. As a class advisor of two sections, grade 12 TVL CSS and grade 12 TVL HE, I found it hard to handle the distribution and at the same time the retrieval of the modules and the classes in all the subject areas for both grade 12 TVL CSS and TVL HE alone. But innovation works. I changed the positioning of the chairs in my room to accommodate the parents in taking as well as returning the modules, the LAS, and the answer sheets. Home visitation was held to bridge the gap among students. These helped a lot to know exactly why the student behaved that way in the new normal education. This also enriched the students and their studies and remediated among students who are academically challenged. This paved the way to avoid dropouts, though some students caused by early marriage weren't able to make it till the end, despite the extra effort and assistance of the faculty of instruction and their parents. As senior high school coordinator, I prepared for the presentation of graduating students' ratings who are class achievers and called the graduating students with their parents for the deliberation. After that, I prepared for the summarized result of the 2021 honors, and in these lists, these are the triumphant graduating students who crossed the bridge of hardship in this time of pandemic. after preparing everything, I also prepared a letter to the invited alumna as guest speaker for the 4th senior high school graduation ceremony and the first virtual commencement exercises for school year 2020-2021, which I prepared. Okay, a video of graduation 2021 is available at my YouTube channel. This is the last but not the least, the reflective summary, which PPST Strand 7.4 on professional reflection and learning to improve practice also require. Here is my personal reflective summary. In these trying times where all suffered from the worldwide COVID-19 pandemic, I realized that the most important of all is life. Nevertheless, education is the lifeblood of DepEd, and that education saves. As the saying goes, ligtas ang may alam. With the objective to make God's plan happen, to save lives, I have participated in the different trainings and various webinars to hone my skills, whether it's a hard or soft skill, in the conduct of distance learning to save my students. I learned a lot from distance learning modality. I have worked the toils of educator and mother to all my students. I have even climbed the highest mountains just to see what was going on to my lost student who was no longer submitting module. I also worked as a leader to my colleagues. As a leader, I learned servant leadership. I exercised leadership by example. A leader should be less talk but should have more outputs. I served in the division and regional level as module writer, learning activity sheets writer, assessment developer, English learning materials reviewer and validator. As an educator, I received accolades from my students and from everywhere. I now realize I have achieved my goals as a master teacher too, and the artifacts from the toils I have worked deserve to be displayed. Hence, I knew I have done a lot, and I knew there is still so much to be done and achieved because I found LDM as a life-changing process. Thanks to LDM course, long live DepEd, and to God be all the glory. This is Dr. Juliet Saldo, Master Teacher 2, LDM LAC Leader, is now signing off.